Hi, it's Mr. Broadbent here. Today we're going to look at the multiple choice questions for the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test. I just want to remind you, the multiple choice questions on the test, they're this big blue piece of the pie. They're worth about 48% of the test. Short answers are worth 28%, essay and news report are each worth 12%. So you want to make sure that you do a good job on these multiple choice questions, because each question that you attempt will be worth 1.2% of your overall score of the test. So make sure you treat every multiple choice question very carefully. In your package you have this chart. It's a variety of different strategies for being successful on the test. I'm not going to go over them all, but just remember that there are pre-reading strategies. There are things you should be doing before you read, like making predictions, looking at text features. There are strategies you should be doing during your reading, visualizing, making connections, making inferences, and there are things you should be doing after you read, or post-reading strategies, making connections, recording your ideas, really looking at the questions, going back to look for answers. There are also test-taking strategies. These are strategies that will help you take the multiple choice questions. We'll go over a few of these in a moment. So this is an example of a dialogue reading. This would be near the end of booklet 2 on the literacy test. I'm going to read this, and I'm going to stop every once in a while and think aloud, or sort of explain my thinking as I'm going through. So I take a look at the text first. I see the picture, hair shop on wheels, maybe some sort of barber in the back of a van. Let's find out. So I also look at the numbers on the side. These are numbers for paragraphs. Lots of short paragraphs here, because it's a dialogue. It's a conversation between two people. So, thanks for agreeing to talk with me about your successful business, said Nat, shaking hands with Alex. So these are the two characters. And I see that this Alex person must have a successful business. So they're a businessman. I wonder, maybe they are the person who owned this business, this hair shop on wheels. Alex smiled. I'm happy to help students with career exploration. So this Nat person must be a student doing some sort of career exploration. So those are two things that I can infer about these characters as I read. So I know there's these two characters, and I know that in a dialogue reading, the dialogue goes back and forth. So what I've done is I've just marked them up in different colors, green for Nat and red for Alex, for which character is speaking in each of these short paragraphs. I've also done some underlining of some things that I think are telling for this piece. I have three main questions. How did you get started? What did you like best about being your own boss? And what advice do you have for young entrepreneurs? So I know Alex is his own boss and a young entrepreneur. You are well prepared, says Alex, nodding in approval. I trained at Blaisville College. How did you go from there to having your own hair shop on wheels? And I think, oh, okay, there's the picture. I got the idea after volunteering at my grandfather's senior residence. I cut hair and trimmed beards, even styled women's hair for anyone who couldn't get out to their barber shop or hairdresser. The residents didn't have space to set up professional equipment, so I thought of a way to bring it to them. After graduation, I borrowed money from the bank so I could afford to buy at least a van. My brother put in some sweat equity as a mechanic and converted the van to a mobile salon, explained Alex. Nat was puzzled. Sweat equity? Your brother gets a share of your profit as payment for hard work fixing up the van? Alex nodded in agreement. That's the best thing about being my own boss. I can be creative in how I run my business. So Alex must be a creative person. And it is a pretty creative idea. That aspect appeals to me too, said Nat. What's the best advice for an aspiring businessman? Do your research, develop a realistic plan, and focus on your goals. So I'd like to have a look at a few questions now. First one, how does Nat show that he's prepared for his interview with Alex? So I look at the question, and I look especially at verbs in the question. How does Nat show what? He's prepared for his interview with Alex. So I have a look, and I see by shaking hands with Alex, by sharing his business plan, by having questions ready, by volunteering at a senior's residence. Does shaking hands show that he's prepared? It could be, so I'll just put a check mark there, because that could be the right answer. By sharing his business plan, yeah, well, no, that's not true, because Nat doesn't have a business plan, does he? So I'm going to cross that one out. By having his questions ready, yes, he does that. By volunteering at a senior's residence, no, because Nat didn't volunteer at a senior's residence. So I have these two questions, or these two possible responses. And I look, does he shake hands with Alex? Yes. Does he have questions ready? Yes. Which one of these better shows that he's prepared for his interview? Well, you don't have to be prepared to shake hands, so I'm going to cross that one out, and I'm going to circle C, which of course is the correct answer because that's the best possible answer here. Here's another question. What is the meaning of aspiring used in paragraph 9? This is a very common question on the literacy test, asking you to infer the definition of a meaning based on the words around it. So it could be mature, hopeful, friendly, or struggling. First thing I'm going to do is go back to the reading in paragraph 9, scan the text for the word aspiring, and then I'm going to reread that part. Rereading is probably the single best strategy for making more meaning from a text. So I go back to paragraph 9. I reread this part. This aspect appeals to me too, said Nat. What's your best advice for an aspiring businessman? So aspiring, what word could fit in there? Now I head back to the question. What's your best advice for a mature businessman? Yeah, that could be it. What's your best advice for a hopeful businessman? Could be it too. What's your best advice for a friendly businessman? Yeah, that makes sense. What's your best advice for a struggling businessman? All of those things fit in that sentence, so they all possibly could be answers for this question. So this shows me I have to think a little deeper. It's Nat asking the question, and he's a student who's doing some career exploration. So would I say he's a mature businessman? No, because he's a student, so that's not true. Is he a hopeful businessman? He could be, so I'll put another check there. Is he a friendly businessman? Yeah, he's friendly, but he's not a businessman yet, so I put a question mark. Is he a struggling businessman? Well, he's still not actually a businessman yet, so probably not. The only word that really describes Nat in that sentence, of course, is a hopeful businessman, because he hopes to be a businessman. So really what you need to do for questions like this, read around the word, have a look, and I need you to make some inferences here. I need you to combine your own background knowledge with clues from the text to draw reasonable conclusions. So those are some strategies that I hope you can use on these multiple choice questions. You're going to do a few multiple choice questions today attached to the reading, and then at the end there's a few grammar multiple choice questions. We will have a look at all these questions when I come into your class in the near future. Good luck!